Hello, everyone. Today's show is brought to you by daviesgirlsphotography.com. Check them out or reach out via email. We've all thankfully moved on from the days of Sears and JCPenney portraits, or I at least hope you have. Do you guys remember those soft focus glam shots or the awkward family photos your mom insisted you taking? I think we all have a few of those that hopefully won't ever see the light of day again. Times have changed, thankfully. So if you have an idea or a vision for your first or 10th photo shoot, Davies Girls Photography can help you bring your idea to print. To discuss your next idea, check them out at daviesgirls.com or on Instagram at daviesgirlsphotography. I'm Tommy Canale, and welcome to Before the Lights podcast, the show to find out how those in sports, music, and entertainment made their mark. Please check us out on the web, beforethelightspod.com, and follow us on Instagram at beforethelightspod. Subscribe and share the show, please. All right, everyone, get a coffee, maybe a glass of vino, and if that's not your style, then grab a cocktail. Tell your family, friends, neighbors, and yes, strangers. It's time to have an in-depth conversation with our guest. My guest today is currently one of the cross-country track and field coaches at the University of Akron. She is an accomplished middle distance runner, a 4-time All-American, a SEC champion, 10-time NCAA qualifier in the cross-country and track and field. She is a professional runner known on Instagram as Stephanie Purple Brown, a.k.a. Miss Purple Brown. Stephanie, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about your career and how you got started and all that. But my first thing I just kind of want to jump into, what's with purple?
I knew that would be the first question. That is a very common question I get. So back in my day, I'm so old, early in college, the Facebook was a bigger deal than Instagram, which didn't exist, and Twitter. And I think Twitter had just started, or maybe it did right after. But a lot of the girls on the team, we were all connected on Facebook, and they had funny middle names, especially the sprinters. They like Track Star, Boss Hog, Big Country, Diva, this and that. And so I took it upon myself to make my middle name Purple because it's my favorite color, and then brown, so 2 colors, purple, brown. And then carry on halfway through the season, I dyed the bottom layer of my hair purple, and that's really when it stuck. So then when I went to make Twitter, I had no questions. I was Miss Purple Brown because people were starting to say that. So it just became the saying. And so Purple, Perp, Miss Purple, PB has become another nickname of mine.
Nice. And actually, in purple means royalty, so you picked the right color to go there.
Yes. That was not the intention, but it's kind of been cool because it stuck a lot more than I thought it would. And when USATF track and field at Big Meets announces me as Stephanie Purple Brown now too. So
that's awesome.
It's kind of funny that has all taken place.
Awesome. So you were born and raised in Illinois, as I am, actually not far from where you grew up in Downs, Illinois. So tell me, what is your first memory of running as a kid?
First memory of running? Well, my brother was going to do cross country, and so he's 3 years older than me, and he's not good at it because he has, not because of his ability, but he has severe asthma.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, he grew up with crazy asthma, and he just not competitive, wanted to be there for the social. Everyone's nice in cross country. It's a good time, especially at our school. And he was going to go run this local 5K, and my dad asked me if I wanted to go. And just like a little sister would, I wanted to do everything he did and annoy him. So I grabbed my basketball shoes and went out and ran this 5K. And I don't even think I ran all that fast, maybe 27 minutes. And then the dad from one of our soccer family friends has a daughter who ran really well, Megan Braffett, and her dad told my dad to get me a pair of running shoes and to not look back. And so my next 5K I did, this is when I was 10, I ran 23 minutes. So I was pretty good off the bat. And then I joined cross country and then just carried on running, even though I always thought I was going to just play soccer.
So let me get this straight. You ran your first 5K in basketball shoes. Did you even train for the race or just go out and run it?
No, yeah, I just ran. I did all the sports, and my brother was out there doing it, so I didn't have other good sneakers because I played soccer, so all of them were cleats, and so basketball shoes was the way to go at the time.
Did you beat your brother the first race?
No, I didn't beat him for a while.
All right. So you had to
I got there.
Yeah, you had to train to get. So with all that, and you're trying to catch your brother. Is that where the competitive spirit kicked in? Was trying to be better than he was?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's just I'm a lot like my dad, and he's pretty competitive, and then my brother is a lot like my mom. So yes, I wanted to beat my brother and everything, but he didn't care if I beat him. Like even to the point where I know we would pick up sticks in the backyard before my dad would go mow. And I was determined to pick up more sticks than my brother, but he's smart enough to be like, well, if she really wants to beat me, I'm going to egg her on so that I don't have to pick up as many, so
right.
I'm over there competing and he's not. So we're different. So I don't know where it came from, honestly. It's just,
you might have been born with it.
Yeah. I think people are born with certain attributes.
So in grade school, you're a 2-time state champion in the 800. And what's really impressive is your 8th grade time would have won Class A in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
In grade school, did it really kick in that, you were starting to fall in love with the sport of running?
No, not at all.
You hated it.
I actually hated it so much. I really liked winning. And honestly, as a little kid, I think most kids love attention. So when I would go run those races and do those things, people would pay attention to me. So otherwise, I was just another kid trying to get their mom to watch them go off the diving board. But if I ran a race, I had a lot of people talking to me, and I loved that. So I think I hated running. I loved soccer, and but I liked winning and competing. So I don't think I really fell in love with running till a little bit later. So
in grade school, were you still doing soccer as well?
Yeah, I played soccer through junior year of high school, even though my high school didn't have soccer. So this is kind of I played club soccer all the way through junior year. When I reached high school, the first year I played with the class below me in age, and I would practice with them with my club. And then once they entered high school, I just practiced with the boys during the girls' season.
Was there were you still thinking of soccer as the career instead of running, or just doing running to do it, and it kind of just running ended up taking its course for you?
Yeah, so I was pretty good at soccer. I did the whole ODP thing, and I made the Midwest team for 2 years for my age group, so that was pretty decent. And I think I always thought I would go play college soccer until after sophomore year of state in track. I think I ran something and decent. And my dad was like, do you want to go to soccer tryouts? And I said, no, I probably better not. And then I got really sad and missed soccer during that junior year. So then I ended up playing anyways. But then after that, during the winter when I ran my first sub 210, I didn't play again after that.
Okay. So. In high school, you have 4 all-state runs in cross country. Mm-hmm. Did you feel any kind of pressure, like, hey, I have 2, now I got to get 3. I got 3, now I got to get 4?
Yeah. Well, no, I was never worried about getting 4 all states because I don't know, I'm single A, and really I did it my freshman year, so it wasn't like this huge pressure. But I think I got 3rd and then 2nd my sophomore and junior year. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to get first, and then I wasn't going to win. And honestly, this is embarrassing, but I cried like the second half of the race because I wasn't going to win. And I think I ended up 10th.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was Kelly Curran won, and she ended up running at Notre Dame, and so she's a good athlete. But
so you figured I can't catch her. I'm just, it's over.
I'm done. It's the end of the world. Yeah, totally over dramatic. So because I went out super fast to try to break her, and I didn't. So, but yeah, in the end.
And then did that turn on some more fire for you, or did you think, this isn't for me?
I mean, for cross country, I always wanted to be really good at it, even in college. I mean, I worked really hard and I would do workouts really well. But man, when I do the races, I'm either on fire or just questionable. And it took me a long time to get better at that pain and that kind of pain, I guess, with the endurance side of it rather than the lactic, like burn, quick pain. It's over and done with. So I don't know if it gave me more motivation in any kind of way. I think I was pretty motivated anyway. But I think someone said, one of the announcers at State Track brought up cross country to me directly after all my races my senior year. And I was like, oh yeah, forgot that I ran so horrible. State cross country. Thanks for bringing it up.
So you're Illinois State's first 4-time champion, the 800. I want to bring up this one. You had an 80-meter deficit and broke a 23-year-old state record with a 2:06.2 split. What was your thought process there? Because you just said, before you're not going to win. So you start crying and fall back, and then you have an 80-meter deficit and you turn it on.
Oh, you mean in cross country versus track?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was much more confident in track always because, I don't know, I just always did really well. So that race, that was a really cool situation because I wasn't going to run at for the 4x8 or the 4x4 at state. I was not planning on doing it. But my girls at Tri-Valley had actually worked really hard to be at the point they were at. They broke 10 by themselves once during the season.
Nice.
I don't know. They all ran a little bit under 2:30 once.
Yeah. So then it broke 10.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, man, they were working hard and taking practice seriously. And I had 5 girls, 5 or 6 that were just really turning it on and trying to be at state with me. They wanted to be there. And so the week going into sectionals, I had went in and talked to my coach, and he was like, I'm like, man, I think we can win this, because I was going to run the 100 dash at state. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to get a trophy. And I'm like, all right, well, I think it's the 4x8. So we calculated the time, and we're like, I think we can do it, because they had all gotten a lot faster. And so we walked into practice and we let them know, like, hey, if you guys qualify for state, Steph's gonna run. And then they were like super excited, and so it just kept motivating everyone more. So during the race, I felt like there was no option. I was gonna win. I don't know.
So you just ran down the leader then. You just didn't even think about it and go.
Oh yeah, I went out in like 60, I think. So come about at 500 in, I knew I was gonna win, because I wasn't very far away from them. So I caught them on the back stretch, and I was in the lead with 200 to go. So
it's impressive.
Yeah, it was a good day.
I'll bet. A lot better day than the cross country day.
yeah, definitely. 2 laps is more my forte than 3 miles.
So you hold a school record in the 1600. You win state. You're named the Pantagraph newspaper Female Athlete of the Year, which is located in Bloomington, Illinois. How'd that honor feel for you?
Well, yeah, I actually forgot about that until now, but there was a dinner and everything, which was pretty cool. I think just in the end, it was a good way to just the whole state and everything that happened. It's just a good way to finish my high school career. When I think back I was just so happy to be out there with everyone. So the honors really just bring up all the memories and the good times, and it's really special that I get to have those days to look back on.
Nice. What was your recruiting like, Stephanie? I mean, you ended up attending University of Arkansas. I mean, was it crazy? Who was all recruiting you?
Well, I got a lot of letters and a lot of booklets because they used to send out those books.
Right.
And so I'd be at school, you know, in class, like looking through these pamphlets of schools and all their runners and their times. And so I got recruited and called. I remember the calling day. I think it was like July 1st or something. I just sat at home and talked to coaches all day. So it was kind of crazy, but I felt like I wanted to go to an SEC school. And so I had done an SEC school road trip going into my senior year with my dad. And so I'd seen the different schools, and really Arkansas kind of was already at the top of my list of places I wanted to go. My mentor from the running camp I went to growing up, Janet Lee in sub 5, had run professionally under Lance at Arkansas, and she just thought we'd be a good fit, and she had told him about me when I was in 6th grade. So
wow,
he kind of knew who I was, and it's one of those things where you say that in 6th grade, and he's like, yeah, okay, we'll see. You don't know what's going to happen.
Correct.
And so, but in the end, I ended up running really well and getting to the point where it was, okay, you got those scholarships and everything that it looked like it would be, it was. And so, yeah, I went on my visit and it felt like home. So it was a pretty easy process. I went on 3 official visits, so it wasn't crazy.
And that's usually what I hear a lot. I also help kids get college scholarships, and usually it's exactly what you said. When they find a place that feels like home, the search is over, you know, and you could have other visits lined up, and I've had kids go on them and just to go because they're already scheduled, but their mind's pretty much made up.
Right, totally.
What was the adjustment like from a small town in Illinois to an SEC school and running for a high-profile program?
Well, I had mono going into freshman year.
Oh.
So it was, I had not practiced all summer, so I was very out of shape. So that was hard because everyone just kicked my butt. But I think it was really good. I think it was really, really good that I was really out of shape, because I remember not even being able to keep up on easy runs, and that I had to basically come up with a whole new mantra because I was so used to being ahead of everyone, even the boys at my school. And I had my thing freshman year was die a little less every day. And that
it's a great mantra, by the way.
That's how I went into every practice. I would go, so I stopped running slower and feeling sorry for myself. And I just started running as hard as I could up front for as long as I could until I fell off. And then I was like, if I could just die a little less every day on these runs, eventually I'll be there. And then, so I redshirted that cross country season, which ended up being me training with Kristen Worth pretty much full time, which was, I don't know if you know about Kristen Worth Thomas or if anyone listening, but she ran sub 4 2 years in a row, one of which was my freshman year, and she had made the 2008 Olympic team the year before. So, and then got 5th in the world in 2009, the year that I was coming in. So she is an incredible athlete and 10 years older than me, came from Bloomington Normal area, ran at Arkansas, like just what a stars aligned, and we totally hit it off. And she was really intense and worked super hard for everything she had. She's not necessarily what I would call a natural, but just someone who really could push the envelope and make herself hurt. So I got to train with her, and it was just basically I got killed all the time. So by the time I went to go race in these big high profile races my freshman year, I was used to it. I could run hard and do the best I could while getting beat at that point. So
you had a great person to take you under your wing for sure. Not everybody gets that opportunity.
Yeah. She still does. I am still message her Kristen. So yeah, I got really lucky there. Especially her just knowing where I come from. I think our houses in Illinois are 5.5 miles apart. So,
Running distance.
Yeah, we could totally run to each other's house.
When did you know that not only you could run with anyone in the SEC, but others should start taking notice of who you were?
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, when did you realize, hey, I can not only do I belong here in the SEC, but other people should start taking notice about who I am and take notice of me because I'm the one to look out for.
I kind of figured that out freshman indoor season. I was still pretty naive. Like, I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was to make NCAA finals that year. I was just like, yeah, whatever.
Because you're used to winning.
Yeah, well, I just was used to being in those races with those girls. So for me, I was getting 5th place or 3rd or whatever, but I'm racing girls that have run 2 flat, 201, 202, 203. And so for me to run, I just ran 205 almost every race. And that's pretty good indoors. So
yeah. That's hauling. That's a lot faster than I can go.
Yeah. I think my first race, I guess I didn't seem like I was in very good shape. So I know that Lance thought, oh gosh, I think he was concerned going in. He had a conversation with me in his office and said, you think you're a better racer than trainer? And I just said, I don't know, because I didn't know. Apparently I was. So first race I ran 208 by myself, and every single year for like 3 years in a row, I dropped 3 seconds. And I went up to my assistant coach and I said, hey, I'm gonna drop 3 seconds in the next 800. And they're like, yeah, okay, you're a little insane. I was like, no, it happens every year. And then sure enough, I did. And I came back and I was like, I told you I dropped. So I think that was when I ran that 205. My freshman year, I noticed like a difference in how the team was treating me and how the importance of what I was doing. And yeah, everything got a little bit more intense, but I still was a little naive. So it kind of.
You're just running to run and wanting to go fast and win.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it was that sweet spot where you just don't really know what's going on, but you're also doing really well and everything's clicking.
Well, based on all this, in 2017, you become the USATF champion. Did that feel like you finally accomplished something, or you were just like, that's another one underneath my belt, keep going?
When I did what?
In 2017, when you were the USTF champion, did you finally realize, hey, I've got to where I want to be, or were you still thinking there's more to be done?
I don't know that I ever was. Are you talking about the 1,000?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 1,000.
Yeah, I think it was weird because once I graduated, I just elevated my mind to being in the professional scene. So I dropped a lot of time. And I think when those accolades happened, it was just, yeah, I think you dream about that and you expect it. But it's still a really great moment. So I'm always like grateful. But yeah, I was always looking forward to the next thing or doing better. So I think moving from college to professional world just it was pretty natural at first. So.
And right on that line there, then talk me through this. When did the thoughts in your mind start coming in about I might turn pro, or maybe I want to look at being a professional?
That was on my mind during my recruiting visit, not because of me, but my Lance was just telling me when I would be at what age during what Olympic trials, and it kind of stuck with me. It was always this thing that people would talk about. And then Kristen Worth was there and she was pro, so I understood it was a thing, but I didn't really even know that was a thing in high school. But then once I visited Arkansas and they were talking to me about it, it was kind of like, oh, well, you'll just progress this way. And looking back, I'm like, man, it's kind of crazy that it actually happened because the odds are against you actually, and you don't realize that when you're younger. And so for me, I think it was this thing that I always assumed was going to happen. But really, when I ran 202, was probably when I was like, okay, yeah, like, of course.
You can do this. Was it a decision you had with your family or with your coach, or did you just one day go, all right, I'm ready to do this?
It was just the natural progression. I mean, my coach would always talk to me about when I was going to be pro and like training and this and that. And so I just, in my mind, that was what I was going to do and what I wanted to do. So it was kind of one of the things like, if you keep improving, why stop? So I had never not improved. So it was always in my mind that would be the next step.
Throughout so far, grade school, high school, college, prior to becoming a professional, any injuries along the way that set you back, or were you just healthy the whole way through?
No, I got injured in college once I did this ab testing machine. It was really bizarre. And then I strained my back and I pulled my piriformis. So I actually was ranked number 1 in the country in the 800 3 weeks before nationals. And I had done this. So I didn't run at all until nationals, which I got 10th. So it was so-so, based on expectations of the year. This is my junior year. And then I tried to get better and run that outdoor season, but I was still just having a lot of problems. So that was I took off for 2 months, and then I tried to like get in shape really fast for the Olympic trials in 2012. And then that kind of, I think, set me back too, because I didn't have enough time to completely heal. And then I didn't even run that well at the trials. And then I ended up taking off for, I think it was 3.5 more months from running. And I had really bad TFL syndrome, but for some reason we just couldn't figure out what was going on or detecting it. And I ended up having to travel to St. Vincent's in Indianapolis for them to figure out what was going on. So that was the first setback. And I came back decently from it. I think the next season I kind of picked up in a way where I left off, but I came back as a 1500 runner instead of an 800 runner. So it was hard to gauge the difference. And then through there, I was pretty healthy for a long time until I moved to Montana after the 2016 trials. I moved there, and running on ice and snow was not going well. And then I raced. I had just the inside of my shin and inside of my ankle was kind of tight. And then I raced the turkey trot on ice. And from there, I had torn one of my like tiny little tendons from my toe that runs in my shin. Not in half, but I tore it up pretty good to where I didn't run for 4 months. So that was a bummer. So 2017, I was just coming back from that injury like a month before I was running.
As most runners do, trials. We all get injured sooner or later.
Yeah.
And then, we have to get over it. I mean, nowhere near the competitive spirit you have. I mean, I love to run, and we all have our injuries, but sometimes when you're injured and you can't run, that's when the mind,
it's a bummer.
The mind really can play tricks with you, making you feel like you've lost everything you've worked for.
Which ended up being, these ones weren't as bad as my last one. Was I had back surgery in May. I'm trying to come back from that now. So I didn't race last year because I had herniated disc in my back. And then I ended up having back surgery. And so that altogether was 8 months, no exercise.
What was your mindset through that of 8 months going, okay, I'm not going to be able to run and I'm going to have surgery?
Oh, well, I didn't. I was trying to not have surgery. Actually, one day I woke up in December 28th, 2019. I remember waking up from sleeping and just being like, I'm going to have back surgery. And this was only like a month and a half since I had herniated that disc. But you have to go through all the process of trying not to have surgery. So it was hard because I just had a really good year in 2017. And so I just felt like, why is this happening? I'm not getting sponsored. My back is now in half, and you break your back or whatever. And just like seemed like everything just didn't make sense. And I really wanted to resent running, but I think I just had to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of my life and, why I even have running at all. And it's a gift, and not to see it as this, I guess not to see it as the center of my life as much, and that it's just a gift from God, and that I needed to chillax. And it's still a work in progress for me. I mean, I want to make running the most important thing in my life almost every day. And I don't know, it's just hard. And I can relate to a lot of people, but it's really softened my heart. That's for sure.
I'll bet it's really changed your perspective and given you a little bit more love for the sport once you're away from it like that and realize that it could have been taken away.
Yeah. I mean, I love the sport anyways, and I always try to think of it as track goes on with or without Stephanie. I mean, I'm just, it's way bigger than me. So I'm just lucky to be a part of it now. And that's where I've been able to push through, mostly because I know that I can do this now and I can be competitive to a certain point, and then it's over and I get to do a whole nother life, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
When you turn pro, I mean, you talked about being unsponsored, but when you turned pro, were you sponsored out of the gate? Did you have a sponsor with you?
Yeah, I ran for Nike originally, from, I guess, October 2014 to the end of 2016. And then they dropped me. I don't know. I don't really know why exactly. I made the trials final and run 4:07. So, but it's, it's a business, and if a lot of people get dropped if they're after doing great after an Olympic year. So it's just kind of this weird thing that happened. And I think being on my own makes it a little more difficult too.
Yeah. And talk about the challenge of being on your own. What expenses are out there for somebody who's thinking, well, hey, I might want to become a professional runner?
Well, I mean, I think that the expenses are you just kind of have to live with the fact, unless you have the at-home job that you can do and be off your feet and pay your way, that you're going to just not be rich. And that's fine. It's fine if you really are dedicated to the sport. But I think that that's not the part that is hard about being unsponsored. I think the hardest part is your mental, your psyche, because being sponsored means it's kind of this swag that people have. No one knows the details of each other's sponsorship. You could be just getting gear, but the fact that you have that and you can say I'm sponsored, it just makes you feel like I belong. So feeling like you belong without, a name across your chest is the hardest part. And I encourage everyone to be okay with not being rich. Work really hard, because you can still get races to travel you. If you're in shape, they will fly your way. And also that it's okay. You would still belong, without, a sponsor on your chest. No one cares about, as soon as the gun goes off, those little logos don't matter, and neither do the, how much everyone makes. You have just as much of a chance to win the race as anyone else, with or without. So, but I try to think.
Yeah, no, that's a great mindset and great advice. But my question is, do people that aren't sponsored do other things? I mean, do you look for local sponsors or local people that might, sponsor you or help you with travel cost or entry fees?
I've tried, and with some, in some ways, but I haven't went out of my way to do that. I know that I did, some fundraising, and that really helped at one point. But I also, maybe this is just me, but I want to be able to be competing if I'm going to be asking for that, and not just be promoting on Instagram or whatever. I want to be out there racing if I'm going to have someone paying me to do so. So, people do that, but it is, hit or miss, I think.
Yeah. And talk about what kind of jobs have you had to kind of help you along the way? And, you said you're not going to be rich, and that's pretty much a given, when you're in certain sports, not just running, but other sports out there, that hey, you're not going to be rich doing this, but you're in it for the love of the sport and for what the passion you have for what you're doing.
Right.
But you got to have some sort of income. So what do you do to offset some of that?
So when I was in Montana, I started working at a wine and spirit shop. It was actually kind of cool. At first, I was working part-time and racing, and I made a lot of money racing. So I actually made like a full salary racing that year in 2017.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome it did kind of stink because you're always paying for the next race. So it's a little more difficult than when you have a sponsorship and you do that. But my boss was formerly the vice president of the NCAA, and then he went to school in Georgia and played football there, and then also had lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and then his wife was a track athlete in college, and then was on Team USA handball in the Olympics, and then also his parents lived across the street from like the track coach at Montana State. So it was like all these things. I was like, okay, so really an understanding boss to like let me go. Like I would go travel for 3 weeks at a time, and I still had a job when I got back. So that was really cool.
Really cool.
But then when I hurt my back, he offered me to work full time so I could support myself. I just eventually had to work less because I wasn't healing, and then of course I moved here. So, and then when I moved here, I got a job at the shoe store, the local running shoe store. So more of a classic runner job. And then I'm also coaching at a health club. I coach treadmill classes and do different seminars. And then I do personal coaching with that too. So
that's awesome.
Coach, hit me up.
That's right. Which brings me to my one of my last questions for you is, what should someone look for in a running coach?
I think the main thing is someone that believes in your goals and then also has a plan that lines up with you. I know like a lot of people don't really know what a good plan would line up with them would be, but someone that's just going to be flexible because everybody has a life, like running.
True.
It's important that you have a coach that is, able to adapt to your training. I think really cares about you and your goals and believes that you can reach them, isn't just blowing smoke. So I think that would be the main thing, because it'd be really hard to be coached by someone who didn't believe in what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've always wondered myself about hiring a running coach is, I talk to someone, I feel like could be a fit for me, and then I wonder, how do I know if this person's the right fit? But you don't know until you start with them and you get a training plan, and you could be halfway into it going, damn, this isn't working.
Right. So I think maybe finding someone that lets you do month-to-month payments would be important because, yeah, you're right. You don't know. But there is a level of every coach you have will have different philosophies and things will be different. So we as a human population don't really love change. And I think we have to remember, if you want to do something different than you've ever done before, like on the track or on the roads, that you're probably going to have to do different things in training too. So you're going to train differently than you've ever trained before. So you have to be able to give it a chance and really see it out. And I struggle with that. Everybody struggles with that. Like every time I've switched coaches, it takes a little bit of time. So just be patient too, and see it out for a couple months at least. See if you find those improvements.
Stephanie, what's next for you now?
What's next? Well, currently in quarantine, so healthy, staying healthy and training. So there's this big joke in the professional running world where people say I'm getting fit to get fit. And that's kind of how I feel right now, is just getting in shape to be in shape when the time comes. And hopefully I'll make some waves. I don't know. We're really unknown with the trials and the Olympics this year. So I was going for qualifying for the trials for my third time. And so that'll still be the goal as long as season happens.
Well, good luck with that. And we hope you're successful.
Thank you.
And we'll be watching to see if Purple Brown toes the line.
Yeah.
Stephanie,
I can't promise I'll have purple hair, but
last words for our listeners.
Just no matter, I think for me, what I would say to everybody listening is no matter what your setback is, it's not permanent. Nothing is permanent. So keep going.
Perfect. Thanks, Stephanie, for being on the show. I really appreciate it today.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody, make sure you go to Apple Podcast and rate and take some time, and please review the show. It helps us grow the show. Hope you enjoyed Before the Lights podcast. Show notes, go to our website where we will have links on how you can get hooked up with Miss Purple Brown at Instagram, so you can follow her there. Also, for the extra 5, check out the Patreon section on our website, beforethelightspod.com. Thank you for listening to Before the Lights. I'm Tommy Canale, and we will talk to you next time.